Hi there, and welcome to the second devlog for Triangle, an asteroids-based game where you collect resources, you build factories, and you just keep going. What I want to go through in this one is the asteroids themselves, how they're spawned, how they keep going, and some of the challenges around how they work. Now, one of the things I wanted was to be able to have a relatively uniform distribution of asteroids that looked mostly natural. And the way I managed that, first I thought about doing it randomly, just place them randomly as long as it doesn't collide with another one. But I ended up going for a grid-based approach. And what I did is, although these squares are separated here, in reality they would be just an actual grid. And what I did is, if this is the radius of an asteroid, because it is fundamentally just a circle, then I created each of the grid cells to be about 2 times the radius. So one full-sized asteroid could fit in each of these grids. But the asteroids are spawned with a random size between a minimum size and a maximum size. And what I also did is I offset each of the rows by a random x value, which is based on the radius again, or 2 times the radius, so that it would be as far off as another cell. The idea here is that on placement, they would all be a little bit off center or off the main vertical Y line. I also ended up actually picking a random value within each of these grid cells as well. And it turns out to be okay because the full-size asteroids aren't spawned that often. Let me show you. As you can see in this version where I've disabled the physics for the asteroids, they're all roughly in a grid. These would be each of the rows, and you can see the columns sort of in a way as well. They're a bit more difficult to tell because of all the offsets and all of those things going on. But if I go up a little bit more, you should be able to see that they do have quite a grid format. What I've also done is that there is a random spawning chance as well. So some of the columns will just be, some of the cells will just be missing an asteroid. Although at this point I think I've got quite a high chance of them spawning. And this is how it looks with a 50% chance of asteroid spawns. And you can see it's a lot more sparse than what you saw before. Now, one of the things that was a problem when I switched the physics back on, or if I switch the physics back on, is that all of these asteroids will eventually just move out of the screen and won't return. And the way I've resolved that, I tried a couple of things, but what I ended up using is this little pink dot here, which represents an attractor, and it just applies a very light force to attract all the asteroids towards it. And this is how it looks with the physics switched back on, and you should be able to see that all of these have a gentle attraction towards the center, and the further away they are, the less the attraction will be as well. And it seems to work fairly well. One of the other things I tried was just to have a wraparound on the left and the right hand sides of the screens, but with a little bit of a gap so that it doesn't feel like it is an actual wraparound. It just goes a little bit further along and then it comes around on the other side. But that one meant that I still had asteroids that could go off the bottom and the top, and they would never return. You'll see some of these asteroids aren't colliding with the other ones. That's just because they are in 2 different chunks and they've just moved across into the other chunk, and I've not got the logic to update them yet. And I'm not going to update them I'll just add a quadtree. The one other thing I wanted to show you was this debug panel. It's showing a bunch of useful information of what's happening behind the scenes. And what I can also do is I've also added little checkboxes for things that I might want to switch on, like the camera guides for what's causing the camera to move and how far the ship moves out of the center, and a few other things. It's also got, I've also added a couple of things in for the combat, like range. And I'll add more things as I'm going along. And that's about all I wanted to cover in this one. In the next one, I'll get into a little bit of crafting. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.